I never imagined I'd rescue a billionaire from a snowstorm, now he's obsessed with my warmth. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The howling wind screamed through the night, wrapping around me like a desperate lover. I was lost in a blizzard, struggling against the icy grip of the storm. My heart raced, a drum echoing in the vast emptiness, each thump a reminder of the warmth I craved. And then, against the bleak white landscape, I saw him. A figure, clad in a dark suit, barely visible through the swirling snow. He collapsed, handsome features contorted in pain, the cold trying to claim him. I panicked. My hands trembled as I rushed over, fingers numb and clumsy. "Stay with me," I shouted, my voice swallowed by the gusts. He looked up, eyes fierce yet lost, frightened, yet beautiful. He was a billionaire, or at least that's what I heard. I couldn't think of money in that moment. The man before me could die, and my heart squeezed painfully at the thought. The wind bit my face, but I felt the heat rising, a fierce determination to save him. That I dragged him to my cabin, fighting against the elements, the weight of him heavy. Inside, I slapped the door shut, plunging us into a tense silence, the snowstorm raging on outside. I could hear his breathing, a shallow rasp. With every second, fear tightened its grip on my chest. Would he survive? He lay on my faded couch, handsome even in his vulnerability. His skin gleamed, slick with sweat, tormented by fever. I worked quickly, wrapping him in blankets, watching his chest rise and fall. For a moment, the world outside ceased to exist, it was just him and me, fighting against fate. As the fire crackled, I dared to glance at him. "What's your name?" I whispered, maybe for comfort, maybe out of curiosity. His eyelids fluttered, and he barely managed to croak, "Nathan." Nathan, the wealthy ghost of a man haunted by the unknown. I didn't know what a billionaire's life looked like, but I sensed a darkness behind those fierce eyes. We were so different. He lived in luxury, and I was stuck in this cabin, surrounded by echoes of my past. Yet right then, it felt like we shared something deeper, a connection ignited by urgency. As the warmth of the fire wrapped around us, he opened his eyes, locking on mine. There was something unnerving in his gaze. An intensity one couldn't shake. "You saved me," he murmured, voice thick with something unrecognizable. I swallowed hard, unsure of how to respond. The silence was charged, like 1,000 unspoken words danced between us, but the moment shattered. A loud crash of thunder filled the air, rattling the cabin. My heart raced, and I jumped. Fear gripped me again, the reality of our situation crashing down harder than the storm outside. Nathan's expression shifted. "What was that?" he questioned, a darkness creeping into his voice. I glanced at the windows, dread pooling in my stomach. The storm wasn't the only thing to fear. Then came a knock, loud and insistent. My blood ran cold. Who could it be? Panic surged through me. I looked back at Nathan. His expression was a mix of concern and something else, something I couldn't decipher. "Stay here," I urged, but he shot up, defying my order with strength I should have never underestimated. "Let us see who's at the door," he said, just as another thud echoed through the house. Each beat of my heart screamed at me to turn back. Would we open the door to save ourselves, or to let more trouble in? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The knock came again, more urgent this time, shattering the fragile peace that had settled between us. My skin prickled with anxiety, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on my shoulders. I could see Nathan's muscles tense, ready to spring into action, as he stepped closer to the door. Every instinct in me screamed for him to stop, but the look in his eyes told me he wasn't going to listen. "Wait!" I pleaded, my voice cracking. But Nathan was already gripping the door handle, his jaw set in defiance. He swung the door open, and I braced myself. The gust of wind that rushed in was colder than anything I'd felt before. Standing on the threshold was a figure cloaked in snow, their presence ghostly against the raging storm. I peered closer, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. "Is Nathan here? We need to talk." The woman's voice cut through the howling wind, sharp and demanding. My breath caught in my throat. She was strikingly beautiful, dark hair framing an angular face, but her eyes bore a message that sent a chill deeper than the cold ever could. "What do you want?" Nathan asked, his voice low and menacing as he stepped forward, blocking my view. She stepped inside, shaking loose the snow that clung to her like a second skin. "I've been looking for you, Nathan. You can't hide forever." I felt energy crackle between the two like an electric charge. There was a history here, and it wrapped around us like the shadows of the coming night. Nathan's shoulders squared, his expression darkening as he faced her. "Leave," he said, an edge to his tone that piqued my curiosity. "Not until you hear me out." "This doesn't just involve you anymore," she retorted, her eyes glimmering with defiance. My heart thudded in my chest. I didn't know if we were teetering on the edge of danger, but it felt like the storm itself had seeped into my cabin. Whoever this woman was, she brought with her an unsettling aura of complexity and conflict. "What are you talking about?" Nathan demanded, and I could see the tension in his jaw tighten. "About the company, about the deal. You need to face it. It's bigger than you think." Her voice softened, and I caught a glimpse of vulnerability beneath her tough exterior. "I said leave," Nathan growled, and I could feel the vulnerability I'd been nurturing for him pulse in my chest. He was no longer just the handsome stranger I saved, he was a man cornered, grappling with forces I didn't understand. As the woman took a step closer, I felt a spark of protectiveness surge within me. "Enough!" I shouted, surprising both of them. "Why are you here? You're interrupting something important." Nathan turned to me, genuine surprise coloring his expression. "You don't know who she is," he warned, but I could see the crack in his facade. "Whoever she is, she's coming into my home uninvited," I shot back, feeling emboldened by the warmth of the fire behind me. "This matters to us both, Nathan. We're not just pawns in someone else's game." The woman's gaze flickered between us, and, for the briefest moment, I thought I saw a fleeting respect in her eyes before she hardened her stare, dimensions of betrayal woven into the fabric of her being. "I can help you, Nathan. But you need to trust me," she murmured, desperation threading through her voice. "Trust?" Nathan echoed, and I could hear the disdain woven through his words. "Trust is what got me here in the first place. I didn't know who to side with." My heart thudded painfully in my chest, a stark reminder that lives hung in the balance. "Trust isn't just about the past, it's about the future, too," she replied, her tone steady. "And if you think you can go back to your old life after this, you're wrong." Nathan's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Suddenly, the wind howled louder outside, drowning out our words, and I felt the urgency of time slipping through my fingers like sand. My gaze darted between them, desperate for clarity, for something to hold on to amid the chaos. And then something crashed against the window, startling us all. My heart raced as I turned, seeing the familiar outline of a dark figure blurred by snow. Panic surged within me. What else is out there? Nathan moved beside me, his presence weaving a sense of strength through my fear, but dread bloomed in his eyes as he stared into the whiteout. "We need to get out of here," he said, suddenly decisive. "Out there? In the storm?" I asked, incredulity creeping into my voice. "There's no other choice." The woman started to argue, but before she could share her thoughts, another thud reverberated through the cabin, shaking the very foundation beneath our feet. "Maybe we're not the ones in danger," she whispered, her voice trembling. I looked at her, confusion flooding my mind. What could possibly be worse than a blizzard? Nathan grabbed my hand, tension humming between us, his warmth contrasting sharply with the chill in the air. "Whatever it is, we're facing it together." Just as I nodded, ready to go wherever this path would lead us, another knock echoed through the cabin, more forceful than the last. A dark shadow loomed behind the door. My heart skipped a beat. Who was it this time? With fate twisting its grip tighter, I realized that the storm had unleashed more than just the elements. We were on the verge of unveiling secrets, danger lurking just beneath the surface, and nothing, absolutely nothing, would be the same again. The world outside had turned into an unrecognizable swirl of white, a tempest of snow and fury that mirrored the turmoil inside the cabin. The room seemed to grow smaller, the walls closing in as the shadow at the door shifted. I was caught in an emotional whirlwind, my heart pounding so furiously I feared it might burst. "Who is there?" Nathan demanded, his voice a low growl that split the air like thunder. His protective instincts roared to life, and I could sense the tension radiating from him, palpable and fierce. The knock came again, insistent and unnerving, as though someone or something was hell-bent on forcing their way in. Time stretched thin, each second feeling like an eternity. I glanced at the woman, whose aura shifted from aggression to concern, and then back at Nathan, who was edging toward the door with reluctant determination. Before anyone could respond, the door flew open, revealing a figure wrapped in heavy winter gear, unexpectedly familiar. My breath caught in a gasp as I recognized Daniel, the estranged brother Nathan had mentioned, the one his past had fractured. Snowflakes stuck to his eyelashes like tiny crystals, and there was an urgency in his eyes that dripped with fear. "Nathan!" he yelled, stepping inside, shaking off the snow that clung to him like a shroud. "We have to go, now." "Why? What is happening?" Nathan asked, faltering for the briefest moment, his defenses momentarily lowered. The chaos inside me mirrored the chaos outside as Daniel's presence ignited a chain reaction of questions in my mind. "There is something out there, someone. They've been tracking me. I thought I could lose them, but they've found me, and they're here." His words came out in a rush, urgency flooding every syllable. The woman stepped forward, fear etched across her face. "You led them here?" she hissed, feeling the weight of her accusation as a palpable thing. A challenge, a demand. Daniel's face paled beneath the frost. "I didn't know it would come to this. I tried to protect you, Nathan." "Protect me?" Nathan shot back, every word laced with disbelief and betrayal. "By putting us all at risk?" In the depths of confusion and fear, a flicker of empathy coursed through me. Daniel couldn't have known this would happen, none of us could have anticipated the storm whipping not just outside, but within our fragile group. "What do we do?" I asked, my voice trembling. I turned to Nathan, pleading with my eyes. We couldn't just stand by as shadows from the past burdened our future. "Nathan, we can't stay here," Daniel warned, grabbing his brother's arm with a frantic grip. "They'll come through that door if we don't leave now." The room erupted in a fervor of emotion. The cold wind seemed to howl louder, mocking us, reminding us of the imminent danger. Suddenly, Nathan's conflicted gaze met mine and, in that brief moment, I saw the fear of losing everything played out across his features. "We can't risk it. Not now." But amidst his resolve, I glimpsed a flicker of hope in his eyes, the hope that came not just from escape, but from the trust that flickered between us. For a heartbeat, I thought I could feel the storm pulse outside, a chaotic symphony of nature's ire mingling with the storm brewing inside all of us. The resolve within me solidified. This was about more than protecting Nathan. This was about choosing resilience over despair. Together as a unit that I stepped closer to Nathan, squeezing his hand, allowing the warmth between us to seep into the fear. "Trust me," I said, my voice steadying. "Let us face it together." A fleeting smile broke through his tension, and for a moment, it felt like the warmth of the cabin encircled us both, harbored against the tempest. Just then, a deafening crash disrupted our moment, slamming against the exterior, echoing through the cabin like the rumble of ancestry in consequence. My heart sank. Whatever lay on the other side was no longer just a whisper on the wind, it was visceral, palpable. The woman narrowed her eyes, the earlier vulnerability replaced by a resoluteness I somehow admired. "Together," she said, her voice striking a different note, hard-edged but filled with a new wisdom. "If we're going to make it out, we need to act as one." But just as Nathan opened his mouth to respond, the lights flickered and died, plunging us into deeper shadows. "Stay close," he commanded, his hand tightening around mine, pulling me nearer as Daniel and the woman followed suit, power dynamics shifting in an instant. Each held their ground, holding on to trust as we faced the unknown together, aware of the choices that lay ahead. Then we heard it, the unmistakable crunch of footsteps in the snow outside, drawing closer, relentless, resolute. "Get ready!" Nathan shouted. And as the air thickened with dread, with uncertainty, a profound realization struck me: nothing would be the same after tonight. The storm was just beginning, and with each step forward, we were approaching the edge of a truth none of us were prepared to face. The cabin felt more alive than ever, a beating heart wrapped in the cold embrace of winter. With the flickering of candles casting uneven shadows along the walls, I could see anxiety etched into every face, including my own. In the deafening silence following Nathan's command, the crunch of footsteps outside morphed into a rhythmic predatory drumbeat. Each step echoed hope and fear alike, hope for survival, and fear for what awaited us beyond those walls. "Do they know we're here?" I whispered, my voice barely a breath. The two men exchanged a glance, a fleeting moment of connection revealing shared histories and old wounds. I felt an urge to bridge that gap, to pull us all into one shared warmth, but the icy grip of reality was a constant reminder of our precarious situation. "I don't know if they know," Daniel replied, his voice barely above a murmur, "but they will soon." His eyes darted to the window, where the swirling blizzard outside had transformed into a haunting backdrop to our current dilemma. "Whatever it is, we can't wait for them to breach the door," the woman said, her tone resolute. "We need to put an escape plan into action. We have to split up, create a diversion." Nathan shook his head vehemently. "No. We stay together. There's strength in numbers." His gaze flickered to me, as if searching for unspoken permission. A knot tightened in my chest, the weight of our collective safety felt heavier with every heartbeat. What if I hesitated and took a deep breath? What if we need to use the back door? The storm is fierce, maybe we can slip away unnoticed. The air around us pulsed with tension, and in that moment, Daniel's expression softened, revealing an unexpected vulnerability. "There's a chance they're already surrounding us, but if we can buy enough time, you might be right." A rush of determination pulsed through me. "It's our best chance. We have to trust each other. We can't let our pasts dictate our future. Not tonight. Nathan." Daniel's voice broke the moment, asking without saying what was at stake. It was as if they were communicating in a language woven with fraternal bonds, one I could not fully grasp but felt deeply nonetheless. After a tense silence, Nathan nodded, his resolve hardening. "Okay. We'll stick together, use the back door as a planned evacuation if things go south. But under no circumstances do we lose sight of one another." With the plan set, tension shifted to action. The candlelight flickered erratically, the shadows on the walls dancing in sync with our racing hearts. I glanced at Daniel, who, despite his earlier urgency, seemed almost relieved to act rather than just react. It was a fleeting warmth, a sign of brotherhood unearthing from the frost of the past. As the footsteps crept closer, growing bolder with each crunching sound, I turned my attention back to Nathan. He was preparing for the worst, a mix of protector and warrior. I knew the battle wasn't just outside, it raged within him, an endless maze of scars and obstacles. I toyed with his fingers, trying to kindle a spark of reassurance. "Let us breathe together," I suggested softly. He complied, inhaling deeply, the tension in his shoulders softening slightly. Whatever happens, I'm with you. But as I said those words, the door rattled violently, threatening to burst open under pressure. With a swift motion, Nathan grabbed the heavy brass bolt, securing it tightly in act of defiance against the storm both inside and out. "I'll go first," he said, his voice steady despite the imminent danger, "and we'll follow in pairs. Daniel, you're with me. Keep an eye on your surroundings." "Wait," I interrupted, panic bubbling to the surface. "If you go first and the way is clear, what if you don't get back? What if they're waiting for you?" "Then I'll have no choice but to fight them off," he replied, his gaze locking onto mine fiercely. Daniel moved to Nathan's side, determination brewing between them as if the bonds of blood and urgency was all that mattered now. "We'll keep each other safe." "I promise," he said, and for a brief moment, I believed him. The cabin felt charged with a shared resolve as we stood at the precipice of our separate paths. The doorway loomed ominously ahead, the threshold to both danger and possibility. Then we heard it, a primal grunt, followed by a heavy thud that sent a jolt through the floorboards. Whatever hunted us outside had turned its focus inward. "Now!" Nathan shouted, his voice fierce, and like a spell woven in urgency. We moved as one. In the chaos, as we spilled through the back door, the world beyond was a blur of white, a furious snowstorm encircling our every move. But as Nathan stepped outside, a chilling realization gripped me. Where was the warmth I thought we shared? My heart fell as the next sound pierced through the storm, a chilling laugh echoing in the distance, unmistakable, familiar, and ominous. Someone knew we were there, and that laugh belonged to an old friend turned enemy, someone I thought was so far removed from my life. Numbness spread through me as the implications sank in. We were not just fighting for survival anymore. We were wading into a conflict steeped with shadows from the past, an enemy from the old life I had buried deep, now resurrected by the storm. "Nathan," I whispered, panic rising as the sheer weight of the moment crashed down. We were not merely facing a tempest, we were standing at the gateway of our own revelations, on the verge of uncovering secrets that could shatter us all. The snow whipped around us like 1,000 restless spirits, each flake a whisper of the uncertainty that filled the air. I could hear Nathan's footsteps crunching through the fresh snow, his resolve unwavering even as the storm raged around us. But I stood frozen, torn between the urgency to catch up and the dread that twisted in my gut. That laugh, haunting and familiar, ringing in my mind like a taunt, echoed deeper than the howling winds. "Nathan!" I called out, my voice barely cutting through the tempest. He didn't turn around. The shadows from my past were creeping closer, breaking through the barricade I thought I had built. "Keep moving!" Nathan shouted, glancing back at me, his expression a mix of worry and fierce determination. Daniel pressed forward beside him, but I could see my fear had cast a shadow on his brother's bravery too. That we stumbled out into the wilderness, our only direction guided by the flickering flashlight Daniel clutched in his hand. The light painted frantic arcs against the white canvas, illuminating nothing but a haze of falling snow. Cold filled my lungs, each breath a reminder of the urgency of our flight. As we pushed through the darkness, my mind spiraled into memories, each one darker than the last. The laughter lingered, weaving in and out, haunting me. Charlie had been an angel once, my confidant, my joy. Until the day he chose power over everything else, leaving betrayal and broken trust in his wake. "Focus!" Daniel called, his voice cutting through the fog of my thoughts. He shot a worried glance over his shoulder, sensing my distraction. "We have to stay ahead. They're coming." "They?" I repeated, frustration intermingling with fear. The shadows that danced in my mind now had form and presence, realizing my worst fears all too vividly. "Who are they?" "Nobody we want to meet, that's for sure," Nathan replied with authority, pushing through the drifts of snow. "Just keep moving." But with every step, the weight of our actions pressed down upon us, a tug-of-war between our instincts for survival and the looming dread of confrontation. Nathan formed a protective barrier around us, but I knew this wasn't just about getting away. We needed to confront our pasts to forge a path toward safety. Suddenly, the blaring horn of a distant vehicle pierced through the cacophony. It felt like a lifeline cast into an ocean of despair. Daniel's eyes lit up, but Nathan remained vigilant, piquing my curiosity about the source of this potential salvation. "Do you think?" Daniel began, but Nathan interrupted sharply, "We can't assume it's an ally. It could just as easily be them." As the vehicle's horn echoed again, I caught the flicker of headlights through the gusting storm. Hope sparked within me, lightning in the dark, and without thinking, I pivoted towards the sound. "We should check if it's help." "No." Nathan shouted, and instinctively moved to grab my wrist. But Daniel stepped in, placing a hand on Nathan's arm, calming him with a gentle squeeze. "We can't ignore it," Daniel insisted, his voice soft yet firm. His determination intertwined with compassion, and I felt a flicker of comfort in his presence. "Let us just see. If it is help, we can turn this into a coordinated escape." After a moment's hesitation, Nathan released his grip, the protectiveness in his eyes battling the rational understanding that our safety weighed heavier than his instincts to keep us close. "Fine. But stay behind me, and whatever you do, don't stray too far. We don't know what we're up against," he warned, adopting his role as a protective barrier once more. As we trudged towards the vehicle, breaths clouding around us in the cold air, I felt a knot of fear settle low in my stomach. The fear I carried was twofold. Not only were our physical lives in danger, but the confrontation ahead promised to unearth truths I was still far from ready to face. The headlights grew larger, cutting through the snowflakes like a beam of hope that threatened to swallow me whole. There was a figure leaning against the hood, silhouetted against the harsh glow, and my heart raced as if tethered by fate to a shipwreck tethered to its anchor. "Charlie!" I gasped, a name slipping from my lips unbidden, shocking me into disbelief at my own recognition. Time stilled. The storm faded into a haunting lull, and regret washed over me in tumultuous waves. There he was, the last remnant of my past, standing resolute like an ominous lighthouse, a beacon of both hope and dread. "Long time, no see, my dear," he called, his voice unmistakably charming yet cruel. "I figured you'd run out of luck sooner or later. What a lovely surprise." The blizzard raged on, but it was the chill of his smirk that truly froze my blood. I had thought I'd buried my connection to him along with the ghosts of my past. Yet there he was, and our choices would once again collide within the flurry of this unforgiving storm, unraveling more than just our lives, but our very truths. "Nathan, Daniel," I whispered, the fear clenching my throat. "We need to go." But it was too late. The storm swirled ferociously around us, and the face of our past had only just begun to unfurl its intricate web of despair. The storm's roar enveloped us, but it was the weight of Charlie's presence that bore down heavier than the snowfall itself. I could see Nathan's jaw tighten and the way Daniel instinctively stepped closer, his posture shifting to a protective stance. The air felt electrified, charged with barely concealed tensions, and it was clear Charlie was the conductor of this antagonistic symphony. "Charlie," I managed, my voice a thin whisper amidst the howling winds, "what are you doing here?" My heart raced, and the fog of memories time spent laughing, then crying began to pulse with renewed life. I remembered the day he had revealed his ambition to control everything, friendship morphing into rivalry under the weight of his thirst for power. "Looking out for you, darling," he said, a smirk resting on his lips, each syllable dripping with insincerity. "After all, you've always been easy to find." Behind his understated charm lay a predator-esque gaze, piercing through my facade. I could almost feel his words wrapping around me like chains. The fear rendered me momentarily paralyzed. I felt everything I had tried so hard to forget flooding back in torrents. "I think you should leave," Nathan asserted, his voice steady as steel. The echo of authority brought a flicker of hope against the dark backdrop of Charlie's presence. Charlie chuckled, the sound warm but chilling. "And why would I do that? We have so much unfinished business, don't we? Or have you too forgotten who you're dealing with?" Unwanted memories wove themselves into my thoughts, a betrayal that cut deeper than any snowfall ever could. A sharp contrast to the fierce love and unbreakable bond one had shared with Nathan and Daniel. now thrusting me back into chaos. Daniel's eyes darted between Charlie and me, sensing the rising tension. "Let us go," he urged, his tone growing more resolute. "This doesn't have to escalate." "Ah," Charlie smiled, the kind that never reached his eyes. "But you see, that's where you're wrong. How can we leave without saying our goodbyes? The storm has a way of making these encounters seem intimate." My pulse quickened, a mounting sense of dread pressing down upon me. "This is insanity," I said, shaking my head. "You don't control us anymore, Charlie." "Really?" he replied, raising an eyebrow. "You think your little adventure to escape the past would hold up against fate?" He stepped nearer, the shadows of the storm seeming to clench closer. "But isn't it beautiful? The winds whisper your name, and yet here you are, running back to me. Did you think I would let you go so easily? Stay back." Nathan growled, stepping forward, but it only made Charlie's grin widen, as if the danger presented propelled him rather than deterred him. Just when I thought fear might swallow me whole, I caught a glimpse of warmth in Nathan's gaze. An unwavering promise of loyalty flickered like a candle in a tempest, the embodiment of hope amidst despair. I searched Daniel's eyes for reassurance, and he nodded slightly, grounding me in the moment. "Whether you choose to be a part of our lives has already been decided," Nathan continued, voice steady. "You can't just waltz back in and expect everything to reset. You hurt us, Charlie. Ah, but those scars are what make the game interesting, aren't they?" Charlie replied, shifting his focus to me, his eyes narrowing. "And you, my dear, have a part to play in this drama that you cannot ignore." I felt the instinct to bolt, heart thundering in my chest, yet still entrapped by his spell. Bound by memories and tortured by choices, I remembered the power Charlie wielded, the influence that had once consumed me, and then the ground shook beneath us. A crack echoed out in the snow-laden landscape, an ominous reminder of the uncertainty that loomed, the storm not only battering the world around us but shifting the very foundations of our reality. Nathan grabbed my arm, peering into my eyes, as if searching for answers only I could provide. "What does he mean? What does he want?" But before I could form words, a beam of light sliced through the darkness of the blizzard, illuminating not just the path before us but a larger vehicle making its way closer through the haze, fast and unrelenting. "Looks like your little dream of escape is about to burn in the winter's fury," Charlie sang, his voice laced with mockery. "Maybe you should think twice about trusting your instincts, dear." My heart sank, the realization stinging sharper than the cold air. "It's too late, Nathan. We have to run now." But as if destiny decided to act cruelly in its twisted game, the headlights of the approaching vehicle became blinding, and when the figure emerged, silhouetted against the glow, a sense of foreboding washed over me. Just when I thought hope was within reach, my world began to spiral as another ghost from my past stepped into the blizzard, equal parts savior and harbinger of despair. "Did someone call for help?" The figure shouted amidst the storm, voice familiar yet foreboding, an unexpected ally or another player on the board. My breath hitched, eyes widening in recognition, the weight of secrets long buried pressing heavily against my chest. Even in a fleeting second, I realized that this storm would not allow any resolution until all remnants of the past had been unearthed. "Not now," I whispered, dread curling within me as unbidden memories flared to life, my heart racing towards yet another cliffhanger in this chaotic journey between choices of light and darkness, and no soft landing in sight. The storm howled like a beast, swirling around us in a frenzy of frigid air and biting snow. I stood frozen, the tension coiling tightly in my chest as the figure in the headlights stepped closer. My blood ran cold, and my mind raced back to that day, a day marked by a betrayal that had forever altered the course of our lives. "Lucas." I couldn't help but call out his name, my voice barely cutting through the cacophony of wind. The memories rushed back, each one sharper than the last. Lucas, with his irresistible charm and bigger-than-life dreams, was once a cornerstone of my past until everything went sideways. "Is that really you?" Lucas's face lit up with a grin, but there was an edge to it, an undertone of mischief. He had always known how to charm his way into a room. Now, He looked like a guardian angel with storm-tousled hair, yet, that couldn't mask the feeling clawing at my gut. "Lucas, we don't have time for this," Nathan interjected, his grip on me tightening. The warmth of his presence was a sanctuary against the chill, but it also reminded me that we were standing on a precipice. "You're all still caught up in your little dramas," Lucas said, shaking his head with a hint of mocking amusement. "You really think you can sweep the past under the rug and it will just disappear?" Charlie chuckled darkly at Lucas's entrance, his eyes gleaming like sharpened blades. "Ah, a reunion of star-crossed lovers. I suppose this is the moment we all anticipated, but, point of order, you're still trapped in my little game." "Enough of your games, Charlie." Daniel spat, stepping in front of me in a show of protection, but the ball was sliding too far out of our control. Overhead, thunder rolled, and for a moment, I thought it echoed a warning. Lucas drew closer, his gaze darting between Nathan, Daniel, and Charlie, assessing the electricity crackling in the air. "Look, I may not have the best timing, but it seems like you're all in a bit of a bind," he said, the warmth in his voice contrasting against the frigid reality around us. With every step he took, the light from his vehicle created whimsical patterns in the storm, a fleeting glimmer of hope. "Bind? That's putting it lightly," Nathan muttered. "Charlie's back, and it seems he's got unfinished business with all of us." Ignoring the gravity of Nathan's words, Lucas focused on me, concern knitting his brow. "Are you all right?" he asked, his tone slipping into something softer, more genuine. I nodded stiffly, desperately trying to pull my wits together, but the storms within felt more turbulent than ever. Just then, an errant gust whipped snow into my face, and for a moment, the wind offered me the clarity I needed. "We need to get to safety, now," I urged, more prepared to face the storm than my past. I glanced back at Charlie, the predator in him lurking just below the surface. His sinister smile deepened, and I felt the urgency penetrate my bones. "You have to leave, both of you." "What are you talking about?" Lucas queried, genuine confusion etched onto his handsome features, but deep down, he had to have known my fears ran deeper than the snow. "This isn't just about us," I began, but before I could finish, Charlie stepped forward, fingers flexing like a conductor energizing their orchestra. "Lovely sentiment, really. But I'm afraid my role requires me to stay a little longer, and I would advise everyone else does the same. The storm is getting worse, and you're not capable of leaving just yet." "Stop it, Charlie. You've done enough damage," I yelled, my voice fierce yet trembling. But there was a flicker in his eyes, a whirlwind of emotions brewing beneath that calm facade. Was he still the friend I once knew, or had he completely succumbed to ambition's unfathomable depths? Charlie stepped closer, his eyes narrowing into penetrating slits. "Oh, but the best is yet to come, dear," he murmured, words wrapping around me like ice cloths. "While you've been cozying up to these pathetic attempts at normalcy, I've been busy collecting the pieces of our shattered friendship, pieces I intend to put back together, whether you wish it or not." A chill raced down my spine as dread seeped deeper into my bones. "You want to get away with this," I insisted, but the tremor in my voice betrayed me. The very thought of being trapped here, not only physically but emotionally, paralyzed me. The storm roared around us again, almost drowning out the tension, but a flicker of defiance sparked in Nathan's eyes. "We'll find a way out of this," he promised, and in that moment, I felt the resolve coursing through us, an unbreakable thread binding our fates together even as Charlie sought to tear it apart. Suddenly, the earth trembled again, accompanied by a distant rumble that echoed my heart's turmoil. Was this simply the storm growing angrier, or was it a manifestation of the burden weighing heavily upon all of us? "Look," Daniel pointed toward Charlie just as the snow around him shifted. "He's controlling the storm, we have to leave now." And just like that, with a single movement, the storm itself seemed to respond to Charlie's whims, driving us closer to the edge of calamity. The air thickened, swirling with dark intentions that felt like my own unresolved fears. As Charlie's grin widened, an unsettling sweetness about it twisted my gut. "You do well to remember that running from your past only leads you back, my dear," he said, his voice low and menacing. With every fiber of my being, I felt the world shift, and in that moment, clarity struck me. Trapped between ghosts and choices yet unrealized, one question remained, echoing in the frigid air: how long before we shattered beneath the weight of it all? And there it was. My heart paused in the freezing intent of the moment. The past threatening to swallow us whole, no safe ground beneath our feet, a vein of icy fear making its way through my heart. Would I ever truly escape the chains of my memories, or would fate keep bringing all of us back to this crushing storm? The storm grew insistent, rising around us like a dark tidal wave. My heart thumped erratically in my chest. Lucas stood firm, searching my eyes, unspoken words suspended in the air between us. The glacial grip of Charlie's presence weighed heavy on my mind, our shared history playing out like a phantom landscape behind my eyelids, haunting and bittersweet. Nathan's hand never left my shoulder, a steadfast pillar against the tempest of doubts swirling within. Together, he whispered, grounding me even as shocks of electricity danced in the air. The embers of hope flickered tenuously in the face of overwhelming despair. Why did you really come back, Lucas? I finally forced the question out through clenched teeth. The storm howled louder, a chorus of disquiet that matched my turmoil. His expression shifted, the grin fading into something earnest yet complicated. I came to make amends, to tell you I'm sorry. But those words may not mean much now, not with everything happening. Before I could unravel his words, Charlie stepped forward, his voice curling around us like smoke. Amends? How delightful. He feigned laughter, the sound sharp against the wind. But do you think sorry is enough to unearth what was lost? This isn't a fairy tale, Lucas. You're merely a reflection of old mistakes. Stop it. I shouted, voice trembling with equal parts fear and fury. The very presence of Charlie conjured images of brighter days now smeared with shadows. You can't just come back and toy with our lives. Yet here we are, and you are still trapped in your bitterness, Charlie retorted, his eyes dancing with malicious glee. You think safety exists? It never has, not even in our friendship. An icy gust whipped past, stinging my cheeks. The wind was gaining strength, thunder rumbling overhead, a foreboding drumroll for the chaos yet to unfold. I felt unmoored, tossed between fleeting dreams and the harshness of reality, unworthy of the warmth offered by Nathan and Lucas. Let us focus. Nathan's voice cut in, firm and reassuring. Whatever Charlie is plotting, we won't let him divide us. Remember what we're fighting for. Lucas took a step forward, his gaze flickered toward me before landing back on Charlie. You think this is a game? Lives are at stake, Charlie. People are suffering and you revel in this tempest you've created. Oh, but isn't that where the fun lies? The chaos, the unpredictability. Charlie's laughter rang through the storm, sharp as ice. You find me overwhelming? Just wait, this is only the beginning. I merely wanted to draw you back into my world, to play out the stories I never got to finish. As he spoke, the snow shifted again, swirling around his figure as if obeying his commands. I inhaled deeply, the bitter air burning my lungs, and felt a surge of defiance unfurl within my chest. You're wrong, Charlie. You've already lost. We'll break free from this storm together. Such admirable resolve, Charlie mused, his expression somehow both menacing and enchanted. But resolve will not save you. It will only draw the storm's anger upon you. I hold the power here. Before I could respond, a fresh wave of snow swept through, and in that fleeting moment, I felt something land at my feet, a velvet pouch, tightly tied. I reached down instinctively, pulling it open to find an array of glimmering crystals inside, a strange sight amidst the monochrome chaos. Lucas moved closer, curiosity etched in his brow. Where did that come from? I don't know, I stammered, a tremor running through me. But maybe it might help us. Charlie's laughter erupted again, louder and more derisive. You think trinkets can save you from the storm I control? It's cute, really. Yet doubt flickered in his eyes. Was he afraid of these objects, or was it merely hostile amusement? Inside the crystals may lie answers to your past, Lucas interjected with newfound certainty, weaving courage into his words. But we must work together. Whatever darkness Charlie brings, we will find a way to confront it. We owe it to each other. I nodded, feeling the fragile warmth of hope blossom within me. An ember lit beneath frozen sorrow. Perhaps the crystals were a key, a way to unlock the chains tethering us to our fears. Together, Nathan echoed, squeezing my shoulder tighter. Let us find out. Charlie's laughter died, an ominous quiet falling over him as he regarded us. An inscrutable expression crossed his face, somewhere between amusement and annoyance. You think this will turn the tide? You'll regret this little gambit, my friends. But amidst the storm's fury, I knew we had little choice. The shadows, my memories, the fears they held, this was a chance to face them. As we prepared to uncover the secrets, a deep rumble of thunder echoed above us, shaking the ground with an intensity that resonated deep within my chest. Suddenly, the sky split, a blinding flash illuminating the darkness only to reveal the silhouette of a figure in the distance, stepping out from the storm, shrouded in mystery and uncertainty. Who is there? I cried, but the wind snatched my words away. In that moment, two paths stretched before us, each shrouded in fog, a discovery that could bring salvation or deeper despair. The storm raged, and I could feel its weight pressing down on us, daring us to break free, even as the shadows of our past loomed like a predator waiting to strike. Would we step into the light of potential redemption, or fall deeper into the frozen abyss of our own choosing? I held my breath, uncertain of what awaited. My heart pounded fiercely as the figure stepped nearer, a frozen breath escaping me, an unbidden thought worming its way into my mind. What if this stranger held the key to our freedom? The figure approached, illuminated by flashes of lightning that momentarily punctured the storm's cloak of darkness. My heart raced, a tangled mix of hope and fear threatening to consume me whole. As the figure stepped closer, the chilling wind carried the faint scent of winter pine, an unexpected reminder of warmth amidst the turmoil. Who are you? I asked again, my words a desperate gasp swallowed by the tempest. Nathan aligned himself protectively by my side, while Lucas's keen eyes scrutinized the stranger, with a steadying presence that contrasted sharply to the chaotic environment. The figure drew closer and emerged from the shadows, a woman wrapped in a heavy cloak, her long dark hair cascading like a waterfall of night around her shoulders. Her eyes glowed an ethereal shade, seeming to parallel the bright energy emanating from the crystals at our feet. I am Alara, she said, her voice smooth and melodic, gliding through the howling wind. I've come to guide you, if you are willing to accept my help. Behind her, the swirling snow took a more graceful demeanor, curling gently around her like an embracing spirit, as if it recognized her power. Guide us? Charlie sneered, his sharp gaze narrowing. More like lead them to their doom. Alara turned to him and acknowledged his presence with calm disdain. Your reign of chaos may earn you fleeting satisfaction, Charlie, but it won't prevail long against true resolve. The air thickened with tension as Charlie squared his shoulders, releasing a long, mirthless laugh. You think your wisdom can sway them? This is their story to play out, not yours. Ignoring him, Alara fixed her gaze on me. You are at a crossroads, my dear. The crystals you hold are not just trinkets, they are vessels of dreams long buried, memories begging to be unearthed. They can illuminate the path or shatter the fragile light you cling to. You choose how to wield their power. A flicker of recognition ignited within me, warming the cracks in my heart. Could this be the answer? But alongside the flicker came doubt, heavy and suffocating. What if the light Alara spoke of only shone on the darkest depths of my past? We must trust her, Lucas spoke softly, reading the turmoil beneath my surface. Nathan nodded, his steadfast presence urging me forward. It's a chance we have to take. We need to know the truth. But the moment of clarity was shattered by an eruption of wind, sending snow whipping violently. My fingers tightened instinctively around the pouch, unsure of what secrets would unfold or what threads of destiny would pull tighter around our fates. Charlie watched us with a malevolent smile, his excitement palpable. A splendid choice. Let us see how deep the rabbit hole goes, shall we? I cast a wary glance towards him, finally feeling the weight of despair hang heavier in the air. You don't control us anymore, Charlie. The mention of his name seemed to spark a new storm within him, the shadows flickering like candles in the wind. Oh, how delightful. But remember, every action has its consequence. Just you wait. As I stood there, caught between fragments of light and encroaching darkness, Elara motioned for us to gather closer. We can reveal what lies within the crystals, but you must stand united. There may be trials awaiting you, those secrets you may not wish to face. But together, you can emerge fortified. Together, Nathan reinforced as he stepped up beside me, unwavering. I glanced at Lucas, his presence radiating a flicker of inspiration. Could we truly do this as one? My heart ached as I remembered Charlie's poisonous words, swirling doubts clashing with the flicker of hope in my chest. Ready? Elara's voice was soft yet urgent, an invitation to embrace this path laid before us. More than ever, I whispered, quieting the chaos inside, willing to face the tempest head-on. The moment moved in stillness, we drew strength from each other, a collective breath of courage. As we joined our hands over the crystals, a pulsing warmth escaped them, illuminating our faces in sparkling hues of gold and blue. I felt the tension rattle the air, an electric current entwining our lives. Then, without warning, the crystals erupted in a blinding flash of light, swirling as the storm whirled around us, pulling us towards something greater than ourselves. Visions collided against my mind as the laughter of long-lost friends, moments stitched together with heartbreak and joy, but then darkness. I felt the weight of it grip my heart, shadows of choices unmade flooding me. A single, haunting memory broke through the chaos, a promise once forged in innocence, now entangled in something sinister. Wait! I gasped, a newfound terror igniting within. We can't. But before I could finish, the storm intensified violently, as if revealing that past was just the beginning. The vision twisted, shadows stretching toward us. In the eye of the storm, a dark figure loomed, a reflection of Charlie, perhaps, or something more potent, a harbinger of our truths, waiting to be acknowledged. Focus! Elara urged, and my heart pounded in rhythm with the tempest. What were we unlocking? What monstrous truth awaited? The outcome hung painfully in the balance, a tethered thread of bravery trembling as the storm unleashed the darkness of our past and threatened to engulf us all. The blinding light enveloped us, swirling around like a storm, separating every breath from our lungs. Each heartbeat pounded louder as if trying to break through the tide of darkness creeping ever closer. It felt as though time stood still, suspended in a fragile moment of truth, and I could sense the weight of our combined fears and hopes merging into something potent and dangerous. In that fleeting instant, memories erupted like violent bursts of energy. Fractured recollections collided, images of laughter shared on sunlit days, of promises made under starlit skies, and shadows lurking just beyond the edges, whispering cautionary tales of betrayal. Then came the darker memories, the choices that torn bonds, the pain of betrayals left to fester unhealed. I could feel Nathan beside me, his grip unyielding, a fortress against the turmoil. Daniel's presence radiated strength, an anchor bringing me back to the present. I caught a glimpse of Lucas's face, determination mingling with vulnerability, a reflection of the history we shared and the hopes we clung to. We're not alone in this, I reminded myself, forcing the surge of anxiety down, but Charlie's essence loomed, a shadow I couldn't quite shake. Unite! Elara's voice rang with conviction. You will face him, but only if you confront your own truths first. The warmth billowed faintly from the crystals, a steady pulse that thrashed rhythmically against my heartbeat, urging me forward. I closed my eyes momentarily, inhaled deeply, and summoned the memories most painful, those riddled with guilt and regret. I could only taste the bitterness they left behind, a reminder of the choices that had driven a wedge between our hearts. I chose to leave, I whispered, remembering the day I walked away from the fabric of our friendship, thinking it would shield me from disappointment. But it was fear, not courage, that drove me. Images shifted before me, swirling in an unending dance, and I saw fragments of Charlie, the life we once shared, a bond forged through late-night conversations and dreams. But woven deeper were the threads of jealousy, manipulation, and a hunger for power he couldn't resist. I felt sick, my heart ached for the child who had clung to the hope for better days, yet retreated into a place of self-preservation instead. Face him, or be consumed, Elara urged, pulling my focus outward as the storm swelled, the air charged with energy. I opened my eyes, my resolve sharpened. I refused to let the past dictate my future. Charlie, this ends tonight. The moment echoed with unity, a pulse threading through each of us, igniting hope against despair, like a flame flickering defiantly against the darkness. Together, Nathan said, coal-black determination in his gaze. We stand against you. Charlie's laughter sliced through the air, sharp and jagged. You truly believe this power can shield you? You think your bond will save you from your own truths? This storm holds no mercy. But it was not mercy we sought, it was clarity that in that instant, the swirling chaos opened up, illuminating our deepest fears and the shadows we each carried. I saw Nathan's pain over the betrayal that haunted him, the burden of a brother lost. I felt Daniel's vulnerability, the guilt from running away when his race was against time itself. Lucas's regret over paths not taken clenched tightly in his chest as he stood resolutely beside me, that we were united, each carrying our burdens, yet forged together by the fires of our individual struggles. Each truth became a thread woven into a tapestry of resilience, something Charlie had never understood. You chose to be alone, I shouted, my voice rising against the wind. You cannot own our past anymore, because we are here. We faced what you did, and now we will confront you together. Each word resonated with vulnerability and clarity, breaking through the power Charlie had amassed in our silence. The storm intensified with my declaration, brewing and swirling furiously, a projection of our will. Elara's eyes widened, an ancient power crackling in the air. You are unshackled now, she murmured, a knowing glimmer in her expression. Release your fear and embrace the truth. As I stared into the fray, across the undulating sheets of snow and shadow, a figure began shifting within the swirling darkness, Charlie's form shifting grotesquely, an amalgamation of memories and nightmares blending into one. You think you can defeat me? He bellowed, the echo of my own voice replaying haunted memories. I am the embodiment of your past. Yes. You are our past, I shouted back, each word clawing its way to freedom. But we are not your prisoners. We will not let the past define us. The crystals pulsated in response, bursts of light radiating outward, illuminating our bond against the storm. The darkness wavered, uncertainty lurking behind its taunting fade. As my declaration resonated, I saw it glimmers of light emerging from the depths. Each truth had its own beauty, a fracture that rendered Charlie's power to mere shadows. The storm began shifting, drawn by our determination, a whirlwind fracturing against the weight of acceptance and unity. Waves of warmth surged through me. I understood now the light did not extinguish the darkness but illuminated our path forward and transformed our fears into something beautiful and enabling force. Charlie, for all his bravado, began to fade, swallowed by the brilliance ignited by our shared understanding. You cannot dismiss me, he hissed, clawing against the threads of memory bent by power. I made you. No, you didn't, Nathan said firmly, stepping out as a pillar of strength, a shared understanding anchoring him against the rising storm. We made ourselves. We're capable of love, of hope, and ultimately of freedom. The darkness began to melt, each truth seeping into the underlying light, transforming our fears into ethereal wings. I felt the fire igniting in the pit of my stomach, an overwhelming sense of purpose carrying me forward together, ready to take that leap. With a unified voice, we all shouted against the whispering chaos, our past is not our prison, it is a garden of lessons, growing forth empowered, unwavering. The storm crackled and ignited with our declaration, collapsing the shadows into fragments of light until they dissipated like morning mist beneath the rising sun. And just as the light swelled brighter, illuminating our path before us, I felt the weight of fulfillment wash over me. In the burst of energy that enveloped us, I realized our evolution wasn't a solitary victory, but a testament of togetherness and newfound strength garnered from pain and reconciliation. The storm settled, silenced by the clarity we de-forged in the depths. The winds transformed, turning soothingly gentle, carrying whispers of possibility. With every breath, my heart swelled with gratitude. I was not just surviving, I was alive. As I stood there, embraced by the warmth of the souls surrounding me, a journey of loss, regret, and love spiraled through my heart. We had danced along the precipice of despair, yet emerged whole, reflections of chaos woven into the very fabric of our being. And as the horizon lifted to greet the dawn, I understood, with startling clarity, my past would always shimmer with fragments of darkness, but it would forever be anchored by the light we had chosen to share. Together, I breathed one last time, as dawn cast golden rays across the once cold landscape, a reminder that even through the darkest storms, we can rise anew, hand in hand, hearts unbroken, and souls unbound. And amidst the clearing of the storm, I realized I was not just a survivor, I was a blossoming soul, tethered not by my past, but by the love and acceptance of the present. The very essence of life itself, a reminder that the storm may rage, but the warmth we share inside remains unyielding.